Welcome to Dub Nation, your home for all things Golden State Warriors. Highlights, hot takes, and pure Dubs energy. Join the squad. This is where champions live.
Earlier today, Steph and the Warriors, they held their exit interviews. Plenty of questions surrounding their future.
When we had our mind focused on a goal, like we had enough to accomplish it and get to a point where, we were playing pretty high level basketball. Does that mean we can win a championship? We hope so. And that's really all you want is a fighter's chance. If you can run that back, make some tweaks that can help our overall, roster. I feel like we had enough that we showed, we could be that team. That's all you really want.
What's next for the Golden State Warriors after all of that?
Well, he's the best one to answer it, the guy that just answered.
Okay, so you're two.
Okay, well, in the top five maybe. But he said it, Malika. Fast rewind 3 months ago. This was a team that was 500 or below, right? Going nowhere, talking about making the play-in. They make a trade. Mike Dunleavy makes a trade for Jimmy Butler, and they go on a tear, right? They went on a tear. He was the salve they needed, and especially for Curry. Steph's numbers weren't as good. When they got Jimmy Butler, he took off too. Steph has said it. He just said, I want a fighter's chance, right? I want to play in meaningful games. But for the hamstring injury, he was doing that, right? They beat the Rockets. The Rockets were a very good team. They finished the season strong. They had a chance to be at one point a 5 seed, a 4 seed. They ended up where they ended up, which was the 7 seed. But Steph is 37. He has accomplished probably more than he ever dreamed. He's going to go down as a top 10 player ever to play the game. He changed the game.
Top five.
Top five. So if you're him, you're saying, Malika, give me a chance to be competitive, right? Let me have a shot. He said it, fighter's chance, his words. They had a fighter's chance against Minnesota. They beat the Rockets. Would they have had a fighter's chance against Oklahoma City or Denver? Yeah, I think they would have if he'd stayed healthy. At this point in his career, I don't think he's saying, I have to have a top 2 roster in the league. I have to be the favorite. He's not. He's been there. He's had that. You can't have that for 15 years of your career. He's just saying, Malika, give me enough around me that I can play meaningful basketball. I believe the Warriors did that and got to do that. I feel awful for him because he was playing great, and I think it would have been a much different series. Who knows who would have won? I'm proud of what the Warriors said after. They weren't saying, well, we would have won without Steph. They said, look, credit to Minnesota. But I do think that, will they try to improve? Sure. They'll try. How do they improve? We could talk for an hour about the rules, about the money they have, about the options they have, but I think Steph got what he wanted, which was a shot.
Welcome, NBA faithful, to your no-holds-barred source for league-shaking stories. I'm your host, bringing you the pulse of basketball with fire, facts, and fearless takes. Today, we're diving into the Golden State Warriors 2025 offseason, a saga dripping with drama, desperation, and the weight of a dynasty teetering on the edge. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, their championship window is shrinking fast. Will they reload for one last run? Or is this the end of an era? Buckle up, because we're peeling back the curtain on a summer that could redefine the Warriors forever. But before we unpack the chaos ahead, let's rewind to the heartbreak that set this offseason ablaze, because it all started with one devastating moment. Picture this, May 2025, Game 1 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Warriors are riding high after a gritty first-round upset over the Houston Rockets. Steph Curry, at 37, is a basketball deity, raining three-pointers with a flick of his wrist and dropping 30-point masterpieces like it's 2016. This man redefined the game, a once-in-a-generation genius whose every step bends defenses to his will. But then catastrophe. 13 minutes in, Curry sinks a mid-range floater, grabs his hamstring, and limps to the locker room. The diagnosis: a grade 1 left hamstring strain. Day-to-day, they said, but day-to-day became a death knell for Golden State's title dreams. Without their supernova, the Warriors collapsed, losing 4 straight to Minnesota. Their season incinerated in a 4-1 S-Series rout. Curry's absence laid bare a brutal reality. This team is nothing without his transcendent brilliance. In the 2025 playoffs, Golden State held opponents to under 95 points in half their wins, leaning on Draymond Green's defensive wizardry and Jimmy Butler's two-way grit. But without Curry's gravity, their offense was a shadow-scoring just 108. 6 points per 100 possessions, 13th out of 16 playoff teams. The numbers scream it: no Steph, no hope. At 37, with a body tested by 15 years of carrying a franchise, how many more shots does this legend have? This wasn't just a loss, it was a siren. The Warriors are racing against time, and their king deserves better. That playoff collapse wasn't just a defeat, it was a warning. So, how did the Warriors even get to that point? Let's talk about the trade that changed everything. Rewind to February 2025. The Warriors were drowning 12-18 before the All-Star break, languishing at 500, staring down a play-in nightmare. Enter Mike Dunleavy Jr., the GM with ice in his veins. He pulls off a blockbuster, trading Andrew Wiggins and picks to Miami for Jimmy Butler. And just like that, the Warriors caught fire. Butler, the playoff warrior, brought snarl, swagger, and a stat line that screamed impact. 300 points, 100 rebounds, and 100 assists in just 20 games, the fastest Warrior ever to hit that mark. Post-trade, Golden State went 23-8, rocketing from no man's land to the 7th seed. Butler's fit with Steph Curry was pure magic. Curry, the greatest shooter to ever breathe, soared to new heights. True shooting percentage jumped to 62, 1% post-trade, and his assist-to-turnover ratio hit a career-high 3. Arden Effen. Butler's defense locked down wings, while Draymond Green orchestrated chaos at the 5 triple-ins at a team. Together, they toppled a 50-win Houston team in 7 games. But here's the catch. Butler's playoff heroics faded without Curry. Against Minnesota, playoff Jimmy was more myth than menace, shooting just 41.3% from the field. At 36, with a $54, $1 million cap hit next season, is Butler the savior or a temporary fix? Some say he's the key to another ring. Others, they're whispering he's a luxury tax trap. What's the truth? One thing's certain, this trade was a gamble, and the stakes are only climbing for our beloved Steph. Butler's arrival gave the Warriors life, but it also exposed their Achilles heel, an aging core and a razor-thin margin for error. So, who stepped up when the chips were down? Let's talk about the fire that fueled their fight. Game 1 versus Minnesota wasn't just a game, it was a war. And leading the charge, Draymond Green, the 35-year-old firebrand who turned back the clock. With Steph Curry sidelined, Draymond unleashed hell. 18 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and a scorching 4 for 6 from 3. He didn't just play hunted. Rudy Gobert, the Defensive Player of the Year, looked lost as Draymond rained triples, attacked off the dribble, and collapsed Minnesota's defense. His 9 straight points in the third quarter turned a tight game into a 99-88 upset. But this wasn't just about stats. Draymond's rageous, pure, vindictive hatred set the tone. He buzzed on defense, swiping passes, challenging shots, and diving for loose balls like a rookie scrapping for a contract. The Warriors held Minnesota to 39, 5% shooting, and a pathetic 5 for 29 from 3. Yet, here's the controversy. Draymond's $25.8 million contract is a lightning rod. Critics argue he's a liability. His 5 technicals in the playoffs nearly cost them a suspension. Supporters, they call him irreplaceable, the heart of Golden State's identity, the warrior who fights for Steph's legacy. At 35, is this Draymond's last stand, or proof he's still the X factor? One game doesn't erase the questions, but it makes you believe in the fire that burns for Curry. Draymond's fire lit up Game 1, but one man can't carry a dynasty. Who else stepped into the void to support our king, Steph Curry? Let's shine a light on the unsung heroes and the youth dilemma. When Steph Curry went down, the Warriors needed heroes to rally around their icon. Enter Buddy Hield and Pat Spencer, names you didn't expect to define a playoff run. Hield, the sharpshooter, became Curry's stand-in, dropping 24 points in Game 1, including 5 for 8 from deep. His clutch fourth-quarter triples silenced Minnesota's rallies, proving he's more than a rental. Then there's Spencer, the 61-wearing rookie, who looks like he wandered in from a lacrosse field. In just 10 minutes, he was a menace of spin moves, deflections, a hook shot over Julius Randle. Draymond called him the toughest guy on the team. These are the stories that keep the Warriors alive in Curry's shadow. But here's the elephant in the room. Jonathan Kuminga. The 22-year-old phenom averaged 15.3 points in the playoffs, but his role shrank against Minnesota Why? Coach Kerr admitted the lineup with Kuminga, Butler, and Green doesn't fit real well. Now, as a restricted free agent, Kuminga's future is a powder keg. Trade rumors swirl, could he fetch a rim-protecting center like Domantas Sabonis or a two-way guard like Derek White to elevate Curry's game? Bleacher Report predicts he's Brooklyn-bound, but a sign and trade could net Golden State assets to extend their window. Keep him, and you bet on youth. Trade him, and you double down on now, giving Steph the support he deserves. This is the decision that could make or break the Warriors' quest to honor their king. The supporting cast showed heart, but the Kuminga question looms large. So, what's next for this roster to uplift Steph Curry's legacy? Let's break down the off-season moves that could reshape the dynasty. The Warriors' 2025 offseason isn't a choice, it's a reckoning. With a $154 million salary cap and the first tax apron choking their flexibility, every move is a high-stakes bet to maximize Steph Curry, the greatest shooter in history. Curry's $59, $6 million, Butler's $54, $1 million, and Green's $25, $8 million, eat up 85% of the payroll. Want a blockbuster trade? You're likely moving Green or Kuminga, both. ESPN's Bobby Marks says a Giannis Antetokounmpo deal would require gutting the roster, and Steve Kerr's already shot that down, doubling down on the Curry-Butler-Green core. Instead, expect surgical strikes. A rim-running big to replace Kevin Looney's fading production, or a defensive guard like DeAnthony Melton to bolster the backcourt and free Curry to work his magic. Brandon Podziemski, fresh off wrist surgery, could be a trade chip or the next core piece. Moses Moody's $11, $5 million deal, expendable for the right upgrade. The Warriors have 4 future first-round picks to dangle, but the new CBA's second apron means they can't aggregate salaries freely. This is a tightrope walk, screw it up, and the dynasty collapses. Get it right, and Curry, our eternal warrior, gets his fighter's chance. The Warriors are all in for Steph Curry, but can they defy Father Time? Let's wrap this up with a call to arms for the Bay Area faithful. Golden State Warriors, hear me now. Your dynasty isn't dead, but it's on life support. Steph Curry, at 37, is a living legend, bending defenses with a flick of his wrist, rewriting basketball with every impossible shot. This man deserves a statue, a shrine, a 5th ring. Jimmy Butler, 36, still carves up playoff foes with surgical precision. Draymond Green, 35, still plays with the heart of a lion and the snarl of a street fighter. But the NBA doesn't wait. Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Denver, they're younger, hungrier, healthier. This offseason is your last shot to silence the doubters. Trade for that missing piece. Sign the gritty veteran. Rally around Steph's fighter's chance. Because if you don't, the Bay Area will watch its golden era fade to black. NBA fans, what do you think? Can Steph lead this core to one more title, or is it time to blow it up? Drop your takes in the comments, smash that like button, and subscribe for more basketball truth bombs. We're out until next time. Keep the faith, Warriors fans. This is Dub Nation, where Warriors never back down. Hit that like, drop a comment, and stay locked in for the next big play. Till next time, Dubs out.